first day, I saw an architectural floor, saw, computers upon computers and drawings. And downstairs, the interior design side had architectural plans, but furniture, fabrics, finishes. And the first question I had was like, what is this? And they responded, you don't know anything about interior design? No, like they don't teach that in school. So right away, like I made that decision right there and then. I did not want to be an architect. I wanted to study interior design. The door sort of opened from there.
So you've got to have a measure of talent as well to become part of a team that is already just so well known and established in the city. What do you think it was about you and what you brought that made Brian Gluckstein say, come on board, be part of this design team?
I went to Humber College and did a 3-year program there. Brian Gluckstein hired me on right after, and leading up, I was a junior designer. So when I worked on the Four Seasons, I always thought that, looking at magazines was sort of cheating. I always thought that, no, the design, the creativity needs to come from your head. And I remember we had gone on a excursion, a trip to New York. And we came back, and as I was going through, the sales center was opening, and as I was looking up at the ceiling, I was, oh my gosh, that's the detail we saw in this restaurant. That's the detail we saw in this showroom. But it was at that moment that I thought, wow. And I carried that through the 20 or so, or the 2 decades, as people say, there, and then that's what led me to then open my own firm.
Was that always a goal of yours?
At first, no, to be honest. And it reached a point where, the design sort of direction, your taste, I started to understand what my taste was, what I loved to do, what I was passionate about in terms of design. And that's where I sort of said, I want to go on a different path.
You're sitting at 10 Prince Arthur, one of the projects that you've been involved in. Can we talk a little bit about some of these projects?
Well, at this sales center, there's it's sort of a calm sort of palette because we're selling to very high-end purchasers. We have to have a palette that would both attract both the male side and the female side. So wanted to take not just the traditional sort of design, but something that's transitional with more of a modern twist. So the idea here was to, there's paneling that's here in the showroom that is not done in the traditional way. Baseboards that wrap around the casing. It's not typical in a traditional sort of setting.
So the other project that you were involved in, of the many in your 20-year career, is 36 Birch. So can you tell me about some of the standout elements of that project for you?
Well, what I love about that project, that was my first project after leaving Gluckstein Design that I did with North Drive. And there, it was sort of taking the modern meets industrial sort of feel. So from the exterior right through into the interior. So black metal doors with fluted glass.
I was reading a little bit about what I've seen as your philosophy of design, and I found it quite intriguing, where it says, the motivation behind Michael London Design is to achieve a high standard of design that is immersive, creative, and inspired by culture. I don't know that I see that as a mantra for a lot of design firms.
Given the 20 years of experience that I've had, and I may have had 1 or 2 clients that look like me. So I have made it sort of my philosophy to include culture, whether it's my culture or the client's culture.
You mentioned that you've had very few clients who look like you. What about designers who look like you?
As I started in the career, there weren't many. I didn't see any, really, to be honest. Whether I was on the development side, working with some of the commercial clients, builders doing condos, and meeting with the consultants there weren't people like me around the table. On the design side, I didn't see too many. Now I'm seeing those in, mid to low to mid end, but in the high end luxury that I'm doing, I don't know of any. I'm searching.
What did that pose for you in terms of challenges in trying to advance in your career, or even just getting your face and your name and your designs known out there?
Where I worked before, I was sort of somewhat sheltered in a way, working on the higher end sort of projects. At the same time, I've experienced a lot of discrimination. I've had clients that have said, you're assigned to a project, and the client doesn't know who you are, but when they meet you for the first time, it's, you're Michael London. You work through the process, and in the end, the design is great. The design speaks for itself. But then the comment is, I didn't know you had that in you. It didn't matter at points. It hurt, but it didn't matter in that I was always trying to challenge myself. Well, I'll show them that this space is going to be great. And the clients that I have now, I'm so grateful for. I have clients in New York, to Ottawa, to Kingston, and Kleinburg, as far north as there. And they look at the portfolio, they look at the quality of work, and really the design speaks for itself.